Mali tops the agenda of the African Union Heads of State Summit held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. African leaders meeting here left no doubt of their desire to liberate every inch of the country. While the president of the Economic Community of West African States talks of the situation in Mali, and a little later on in the program we'll hear an analysis of the complex crisis in the region.
The last rebel stronghold retaken. After a series of airstrikes aimed at destroying the home of Ansar Dine leader Iyad al-Ghali, French forces reportedly landed in Kidal overnight, taking control of the airport. Following Gao and Timbuktu, it's the third major town to be seized from Islamist extremists in the last 48 hours, without much resistance. But chaos has followed liberation. In the historic city of Timbuktu, retreating Islamists burnt priceless ancient manuscripts and destroyed famous mausoleums.
It was shocking because since the day our ancestors, our parents, and for our children, it's something we've always kept. It's ours.
The ensuing anger led to the looting of shops owned by those suspected of collaborating with the Islamists, who occupied the town for 10 months.
They are with the rebels, with the Islamists. They vote for the Islamists. They fight alongside them.
When we find them, we'll hand them to the authorities so they can be judged. They will talk to them to find out.
Some accused of being Islamists fall victim to angry crowds. Residents in Gao have reportedly been hunting down suspected sympathizers. Human Rights Watch urged the Malian authorities on Monday to protect light-skinned citizens from reprisal attacks as ethnic tensions rise between Tuaregs and Arabs and black Malians. France, who's led the military offensive, also wants international observers deployed to ensure human rights are respected. This comes as Malian Prime Minister Diango Sissoko pledged fresh elections by July and laid out a roadmap for the country's future on Tuesday.
The transitional government of Mali has been busy with two principal missions: the re-establishment of our territorial integrity by the reconquest of the northern regions and the organization of free, transparent and democratic elections. This roadmap gives answers to these questions.
The organization of elections and the liberation of the north are key tasks for Mali's transitional authorities. And the Malian government is under increasing international pressure to ensure an inclusive political process and the respect of human rights in the wake of a conflict that divided the nation. Clementine Logan, CCTV.
Thank you very much for your time. First, I want to get an understanding from you. The military intervention has been ongoing now for a few weeks. What is your assessment of what is going on the ground?
Let me start by renewing our gratitude to all contributing countries, especially France, for their decisive action. I want also to commend and congratulate Chad, who has decided to dispatch 2,000 troops to assist AFISMA. And I think that everything is going right all well. The headquarters of AFISMA is already on ground in Bamako since the 13th of January of this month. And now many troops are now being deployed to Mali. Some of them are based in Bamako, some of them are based in Ségou and Markala, and some of them are crossing the border between Niger and Mali to help the Malian army and the French troops in the region of Gao. So I can say that right now AFISMA is in action in Mali.
AFISMA is in action, but the African Union is calling upon member states to commit troops within a week. Is that feasible within the time frame?
Yes, I think it is feasible. We want to know the contributing countries so that we can make an estimate of the needs in logistical support and also in financial support. It is important for us to know which country is ready to contribute. We have already something like 11 countries contributing, but we still expect more because the duty on the ground is a very great one, because once the country is liberated, you will still need security forces to ensure peace and security in this country and help it stabilize its institution. Therefore, we believe that the more troops we receive, the better it is. And also, we appeal to all African countries that can contribute to come and support, because this is not only an issue for Mali or ECOWAS, it is an international issue. It is a fight against terror, and I think everyone is involved.
There is a talk, or there are reports of a humanitarian crisis now emerging out of northern Mali. What is your understanding of the scale of the humanitarian crisis, and what is being done to ensure that the civilian community, or to mitigate further suffering for the civilian community?
This is one of the responsibility of AFISMA, and this is incorporated in the plans of operation of AFISMA, and we are very well conscious of this aspect of the humanitarian consequences of the intervention. And I may want to just recall that the ECOWAS, through its authority of head of states and government, has decided to support the Malian government with an assistance of $3 million, and also we have assisted the neighboring countries, but it is still not enough. Therefore, I call upon the international community to assist us to face this challenge of the humanitarian consequences of this intervention that is unfortunately necessary, because it is thanks to this intervention that we have saved the Malian state and the Malian army, and I believe that we are on the right path, but we still need the international community to join hands. And I am happy that the UN Secretary General has announced his readiness to support with logistical supports once this territory is stabilized.
When you look at it, though, this was an African-led intervention, and the French military came in a little bit later. What is the role now of ECOWAS? How much say does ECOWAS and the African Union have in this intervention?
As I told you, ECOWAS and African troops are already combating in Mali with the Malian forces and the French army. And then again, I renew our gratitude to France, who were able to just intervene very quickly. But it is because they have the capability of doing so in a short period. Otherwise, the AFISMA is still deploying, and they have the same duty as the French are doing now. So they will be there not only to safeguard the Bamako, but also to help the Malian army to recover the territorial integrity of the country. So I can say that AFISMA has a very important role to play in Mali.
The Economic Community of West African States is supposed to deal with economic issues of the West African region, but it seems to be dealing more of political issues. Why is that?
This is because there cannot be economic development or prosperity without peace and security. Therefore, peace and security is priority number one. You can only talk about development when you have secured the safety of people. And this is the reason why ECOWAS is struggling to bring back peace and stability in the ECOWAS countries. So now they can devote their time to economic development. But let me say that we know that there cannot be development without peace, but let me say that also there cannot be a lasting peace without development. This is the reason I think these two aspects are very much linked, and ECOWAS is to address these two aspects, but it is a matter of priority. We are acting on an emergency situation. Let's face first the security and peace situation, and once everything is stabilized, then we will address economic development. But as a matter of priority, we have to see to it first that the region is safe and stable, and that it is a conducive environment for economic development. You cannot have development in a situation of war.
All right, thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
Cecilia, thank you very much for your time. I want to get an understanding from you about the complexity of the Mali conflict. It's been said to be quite complex. How complex is it?
I think it is tremendously complicated. You know, France went in at the end of the day to ensure that Bamako does not fall, but it's a combination of issues that relate to Islamic radicals. There's the drug trade issue, there is the Tuareg issue, there is the absence of borders. And underpinning all of this is simply absence of development, the north versus the south, lack of governance, lack of democracy, and a fundamental developmental failure. All of these things have come together and have built up over the last few decades. The first agreement with the Tuaregs, for example, come from 1961. So we have a situation that has built up, and the spark to that was, of course, the NATO engagement in Libya that led to a number of former combatants moving into the northern Mali and creating a situation that the Malian government found unable to deal with.
Former UN Secretary General has called, as you mentioned there, that part of the problem is from Libya, has called Mali collateral damage of Libya. Is that how it's being viewed at the moment?
I think it's certainly a contributing factor. There's no doubt that what happened with the NATO engagement in Libya has caused a rollback in the entire region.